Patrick Reed is quite the controversial figure in the world of golf. From his numerous cheating controversies to his unsportsmanship-like behavior, he's very unliked by fans and peers alike. And today, we'll be talking about just that, with what golf legends think of Patrick Reed's cheating.
Obviously, the talk amongst the boys isn't great, I guess, but he's protected by the tour, and that's all that matters, I guess.
Number 7. Xander Shuffle. First up, we have one of the more up-and-coming stars in the list to speak out against the so-called villain of golf, Reed. They're rivals, so it makes sense to hear a bit of backtalk from Shuffle. But when he spoke during the 2021 Farmers Insurance Open, it was different. He didn't speak much in his rival's length, but only during one of the incidents displayed during this Open. It was a rules-related issue, much like Reed has had numerous times in his past. Reed had picked up his ball to see if it was embedded before a rules official arrived, and so he was given a free drop. However, replays show that the ball had bounced before sinking into the deep rough, and he'd later admit that his bounce suggested it didn't even embed at all. Shuffle said that after that, he wouldn't have pulled such a blatant move. He's quoted saying, "I would wait for an official." And the talk amongst the boys isn't great, I guess, but the tour protects him, and that's all that matters, I guess. This amongst the boys was indeed not good, as can be followed up by Number 6. Lonto Griffin.
It's tough to put us in the spot to call him out because we weren't there, but at the end of the day, I think 99% of the golfers out here, if it's in question one way or the other, they're going to go the other way, not taking a drop.
We now have another younger professional and rival of Reed's and our previous Shuffles. Lonto Griffin played in that same 2021 Open with the two and had much more biting words about Reed, fellow players' opinions, and the whole alleged rules-breaking affair. In that same interview as Shuffles from NBC's Golf Channel, Griffin is quoted as saying, "Golf's a game of sportsmanship, and it's tough to put us on the spot and call him out because we weren't there. But at the end of the day, I think 99% of golfers out there, if it's in question one way or the other, they're going to go the other way, not taking a drop. It didn't cross that type of deal. So it's tough to see. It's sad. Kind of pisses us off, but it's the way it is." He ended up hoping that things could change for the better after the incident, but only time can tell for the problematic player. Number 5. Rory McIlroy.
That shot right there does look bad. It's very hard for me not to think that, he didn't feel what he was doing. It's a hard one. But again, I'd rather try to give someone the benefit of the doubt and just say, look, it was a mistake. Take your penalty, move on.
Next up, we have a professional from both the European and PGA tours with Rory McIlroy. His thoughts on Patrick Reed don't seem to be as negative as the previous players on our list, but certainly aren't completely positive either. The major words McIlroy has seemed to have on Reed are from an incident that took place during round 3 of the 2019 Hero World Challenge. The incident was alleged cheating by Reed, where he was spotted brushing the sand twice with his practice swings. After, McIlroy went to speak about this on NBC's Golf Channel during a segment of Inside the Locker Room. There, he said he believes the live coverage versus the slowed-down footage from the event was not as incriminating, and that allegations could be just another way to dunk on the player hated by so many. He said that he's had many positive encounters with Reed before, and that it's hard because you try to give the player the benefit of the doubt, right? He's in there. He's trying to figure out a way to play the shot. It's almost like it's obvious to it rather than anything intentful in terms of trying to get away with anything. He did admit that it overall didn't look good for Reed and that in the end, what he might have done wasn't right still. Number 4. Baker Finch.
It feels like, well, since I picked it up to check, I mean, it seems like it broke ground, but I want you to double check. They said it didn't bounce.
You might have to stick my finger in there.
That'd be the only way you'd be able to check, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, we start to get to the older crowd of golf stars and legends that seem to have something to say about Patrick Reed, and that crowd starts with Baker Finch, a professional turned commentator. Alongside a few fellow players and co-hosts, he had a few words to speak on a matter mentioned before from the 2021 Farmers Insurance Open, which Reed picking up the ball before an official could reach him. While he spoke little, what he did say was very impassioned. He said, No way I would have picked up the ball. You ask a fellow competitor to have a look. No way I would take it out. The calls are official but of questionable intent. As a former Open champion, his words hold a bit more weight than those of the current Griffin and Shuffle. Reed was cleared of these allegations and won the championship, though one could be sure that at least Baker Finch was among those not happy about it. Number 3. Dottie Pepper. With another pro turned commentator in Dottie Pepper, we can have a feminine view of Patrick Reed as a player. However, when she has spoken about him, it wasn't in the most positive lights. From the same broadcast as previously mentioned, Ian Baker Finch, Pepper was involved in the conversation of calling out Reed. As another former Open champion, she was very versed in how to deal with such blatantly suspicious behavior, and she was unhappy about it, to say the least. Like many have described her playing, she was quick and efficient with her words on the incident during the broadcast. We play the game, the ball, as we find it. Use every resource, including a rules official, before you touch it, the ball. She concurred with her fellow co-host and seemed to continue not to have very fond feelings for Reed, once nicknamed Captain America, but in that broadcast was changed to Captain Controversy.
Patrick Reed.
Patrick, you really gonna make your caddy carry 14 clubs and a shovel?
Number 2. Nick Faldo. We come now to the final member of the broadcast commentating on the Farmers Insurance Open incident for Patrick Reed. That final member is the lead golf analyst for CBS, Sir Nick Faldo. When speaking of Reed during the broadcast, he had much more to say than his fellow co-hosts, but it was just as harsh as the other two. Faldo was not only upset by the fact that Reed inspected the ball himself without waiting for an official, but that he couldn't even be bothered to wait for maybe a fellow player to help him inspect it in a shorter amount of time. He also had this to say about the reputation of both the player and the rules of the sport in general. We're talking reputation. I'd have another pair of eyeballs on it. Like the other two, Faldo is a very distinguished player that retired from the sport as a top player of his entire era.
Representing the United States of America, Patrick Reed and Tiger Woods.
Number 1. Tiger Woods. Finally, we come to the most famous golfers in recent history and an icon of the sport for good and bad reasons. That icon is Tiger Woods. Woods not only seems to have something to say about Reed, but also has quite the history with a problematic player. It seems for years that Woods has almost taken Reed under his wing as a mentor and friend. Woods played with him privately for 2 days before the 2018 Ryder Cup and did whatever he could to make Reed feel welcomed. But it seemed that none of that mattered to the younger player as he went on after to complain about team alignments. The next year, Woods tried again and spent one of his captain's picks on Reed, and this was the year of the aforementioned Hero World Challenge. This left Woods to clear up the mess publicly and hopefully have someone play alongside problematic Reed. He mostly swept a lot of it under the sand, as some would say, and went on even with the public backlash. And after all, he's faced far worse before. Ever since, not much is said or shown publicly between Patrick Reed and Tiger Woods except that they are professionally cordial with each other. So, what do you think? Were you surprised by any of these opinions? Do you agree or disagree? Let us know down in the comments, and be sure to subscribe and ring that bell for more content like this. And we'll see you next time.